All right, looks like things are up and running from what I can tell. Making sure before I do anything, because 9 times out of 10 I screw this whole process up during the first few minutes. At least that's what I've noticed so far. Okay, so it looks like it's working. All right, so let's go ahead. I can turn my music on and I can kind of zone out and work. Okay, so last we left off, we needed to do a few things with the Buoyancy Slip Funhouse game. So let's go ahead and come down here, and actually we can get rid of this because I took time before the stream started to make a sign that actually says I'm going to the bathroom. So to do this, we're going to do Feed the Elder Wyrm second today because I spent so many hours yesterday on it, and I really kind of gave Buoyancy Slip House a short time. So we need to do Oculus Quest controls. We're going to need to bring in anything that we were working with prior that used hands. We didn't really have a lot going on, so we're going to need some sort of a model to work with. We then need to pick up and interact with objects. We had a pick up and interact system in the prior version of this game, so we're probably going to end up opening up both versions of Unity and start moving over scripts that just still make sense. Some of this stuff is still good. There's no reason to replace it or get rid of it. I might implement the system slightly differently or enhance it in some way or make things, who knows, interfaces or abstract classes. I've learned a lot in the last several years of just playing around with things. So let's start with the Oculus Quest 2 controls. So last time we were here, we got these so that they were already tracking. The Oculus has them being tracked. Most importantly was that the VR camera rig, which is up here, has several child objects within the tracked space, specifically the left hand tracker anchor and the right hand anchor. Within that are the left controller anchor and then the right controller anchor. I'm not exactly sure what the difference between the controller anchor and the hand anchor is. Hopefully that has something to do with the fact that you can also use hands and one would disappear, possibly, maybe, I don't know. But we need a model we're going to place there. However, to get interactions from this, because we're using the new Unity input system, not the old what, 2019-ish? I don't know, time, we need to go ahead and add that package to what's going on. So let's go into our package manager and we're going to look up the input system. This is what we want here, and we are going to go ahead and install that input system, overriding the existing input system, which it's going to tell us, hey, your player settings aren't set up right for this. Do you want to restart the project? We are going to hit yes. Yes, we do want to restart the project in order to move forward. So we're going to do a little bit of a restart there. So here it is, it's doing its business, all good. So while we're doing that, why don't we start trying to figure out what we want for the controls? So if this is the control we're working with, Oculus Quest 2 control, we have an Oculus button. I actually don't know what that is. I'm guessing that's like almost a D-pad. We have an analog stick, we have an A and a B, and we have a trigger. We have two triggers. We have a a grip, let's call it grip, and then we have an index one right there. Okay, so maybe to pick up objects, I guess we should be using the grip, right? To interact with objects, we'll be using the trigger, and either hand can do that. So we need to be aware of that. Both controllers, let's see, A, B, X, Y. Sorry, this might be stupid stuff for some of you, but honestly, it's been a little bit since I've personally developed for the Quest 2. So it takes me a little bit of time to remember. Okay, so this is what I was talking about before. Because we are using a new input system, the backends need to be enabled. We're going to go ahead and hit yes to restart this, let Unity do its thing, and then we'll jump back in. And what we should probably do is, once we have that in place, we'll go into the input system, we will go into the XR settings for the input system, and we're going to add actions in the game, within the context of the game. And those two actions that we have right now are to grab an object and to perform an action, whether that object is grabbed or on some object within the world itself. So we're gonna do one of those two. So okay, so we've got the package manager open now. So in the package, we have the input system. We can close this out now, and we can begin implementing things. This has become sort of a test scene for us, so we might as well continue to work with it. Oh, wow, I still have the cam on. It might be a good idea for you to be able to see what's actually happening. So here we are within the scene itself. I attached a simple ball for each hand right there. Let's go ahead and go to, let's see, let's create a new folder and call this input. I like to have that under a separate one. And let's go to create and let's do input actions. It's going to say new controls. We're just going to call this buoyancy slip funhouse. Or how about first person shooter style controls, because we might need to change the way the controls work. So here it's asking, do you want to edit the asset? Do you want to generate the C# classes? Some people tell you to go ahead and generate the C# classes, but honestly that adds like many pages of code that I hate dealing with. I hate dragging and dropping tons of code that I don't understand into a project. I like to have some idea what's going on, and honestly that's what that does as far as I'm concerned. So we're going to go to edit asset instead, and we are going to create our action map. So the first action map, let's just continue to call this first person shooter. Actually, we should probably change the name of this from FPS to the name of the game itself, because we're going to have we're going to have multiple action maps depending upon what you're controlling or what you're doing. So under here now we have different actions. We have new action. You don't see this on your end, but some of my hardware is starting to fail. My monitors are probably about 5 or 6 years old, so I actually have red lines going down the center of my screen right now. It happened last night at the end of the stream, so that's one of the reasons why I stopped. I wanted to see if there was a cable that was a problem, but no, it's just stuff's getting old. And I bought these on Woot like 5 or 6 years ago, and they were refurbished, so what do you expect? Okay, so we've got a new, I'm going to delete the action. Let's just start from scratch. We're going to hit new action. We have button, value, or pass through. We are working with the grip, right? So the question is, we can go to, let's see, we have XR controller or tracked device. So an XR controller, we have the left hand and the right hand. Shouldn't matter which one it is. It should be both, honestly. But we're going to have right hand. We have is tracked or optional controls. So here we go, grip pressed. What else do we have? So back, primary, start, thumbstick, primary button. So we have a grip pressed, so right-handed controller. So my real question is, so that's the action, which I don't like the name of. Let's hit F2 and just call this grab. F2, grab, there we go. Ugh, why did it call it grab 1? That's what I want, thank you. Now can I add to this, that's the binding. I would like to add additional binding to it. But now that I think about it, I don't want that necessarily. I don't want, yes, it's the same action, but each controller should probably have their own, because I need to differentiate where the object gets locked to on the hand that's grabbing it. So why don't we change this to just grab right, and we'll do another one called grab left. And then we have no bindings. We're going to change that again. Let's find the XR controller left hand, and we will do here, and we will do grip pressed. So we have a grab right and a grab left. That's good. Now we just, so what is this considered? This is considered a button. I don't think the controls are considered buttons. So if we do Unity XR input, here we go. So this is under the Unity manual, which is probably not what we want. We're going to want the new input manager system. This is not what we want either. Unity docs.something 2021.3 LTS. Good enough. No, this is not what we want. All right, let's do Unity input package Manual. Okay, this is what we want. So here's reference and support input devices. Let's take a quick look here and see if we can find out anything about the XR side of things. So here's sensors, keyboards, pen, tablet, supported input devices, mouse, keyboard, pen. How come it doesn't show up as an XR under here? Or is XR added on top of this? So, controls, devices. Not exactly what I want to work with, is it? So we have player UI look right, and then we have action, creating actions. No, we don't want that either. Okay, we're just going to assume for the moment that this is working. We're going to bind to it as well. I don't think that counts as a button, though. I think this is probably a value that you get from this particular controller, but I could be wrong. We'll see. So we have grab, and honestly, at the moment, grabbing is mainly what we need. So why don't we go ahead and click autosave so that we don't accidentally forget to save this. And we'll close out of that. And I'm just going to open that again to make sure we didn't lose it. So we have grab left and grab right under what's this, which is called FPS, which should really not be called that. It should be called buoyancy slip funhouse. Or maybe XR. I don't know. Okay, so now we have our assets. Let's see what we can do next. Okay, we need to bind this to something, to a script, right? So let's go to input, go to create C# script, and we had scripts before for each controller in the last game that we played with. I'm trying to think if it will be easier to do that. Let's open up the OVR camera rig. Oh, Unity's crashing. And let's go to the left controller and the right controller. And why don't we go ahead and add to the model for right now the player input script. And we'll choose the action, asset, FPS. That's what we're working with right now. Let's see, input system, camera, send messages is what we'll be working with. So we should get two different send messages. We will get a on grab right, on grab left. We're going to figure out if this is the right way. We might want a value instead. I don't know if that's what gets sent from these controllers. We're going to have to find that out. Once again, the documentation wasn't terribly clear about that. Let's move this over here. And here we go. Oops. Let's close out a plastic SCM for right now. We're not going to be working with that at the moment. And so now we have a player input object on the sphere. Let's go ahead and create a new script. Let's just call this left controller. We'll do a right controller also as we get there. Once again, I take back, oh, what am I trying to say? Today is not a very good day, is what I'm trying to say, honestly. Uh-oh. Let's see. One second, everyone. Sorry. The real world beckons. And I just need to reply to one thing before we start on this. Let's see. That's good, that's good, that's good. All is good. Okay. Now we can start back up. We need the on grab handling. So what's interesting is technically both of these controllers. So I'm almost wondering if I should have a separate input system for the left and the right rather than having them combined together, because they're almost completely separate. But that's something we'll figure out as we go along, if that's the right way to structure this. Okay, so we need, what was it, on grab. So it tells you what to expect. So the left sphere should be getting an on grab right or an on grab left. And this is why I think I should probably be splitting this up into two separate controlling systems, because I don't actually need both on that. I need basically the same but different. In which case, it's like the perfect time to do it that way, isn't it? So we will do it doesn't have to be public, but we'll do it anyway, since it's a message. Public, let's see, on grab left, and I believe that returns a void, and the type that it gets is going to be an input something or other. We need to do a using Unity engine dot input system. Then we're going to come here to input value, I think, value, right? So that's going to be the value we're trying to query, wrapped up in this abstract. It's not abstract, but it's an abstraction itself, because we're not directly polling for a value. This message happens, we don't know how it's set up, and we're like, hey, if you happen to be this thing, what do you happen to be? And we're going to kind of poke at you and prod at you and hope that we get the right answer. Okay, so let's do... So this should happen when that happens. The question then becomes, what does value print out? So let's just do a debug. And actually, now that I'm thinking about it, how am I going to get this to work? Because I don't currently have the Quest controls actively mapped. We might have to stop what we're doing and fix that problem where I can't debug with the Quest running in the link cable at the same time. There should be a way around it. I just haven't found one yet. So debug.log. What are we saying? Left grab. Because if we do this, and I just put this in here, it's not... my computer has no information about what's happening. So let's take left controller and throw it on to here. Cannot add left controller because the script cannot be found. Let's make sure we didn't rename this thing wrong. So usually that's the name of the class. That's improperly done. So that didn't get renamed. So let's call this left controller, save, minimize, come back. Okay, let's go back to the sphere, add the left controller, which should now get a message from the player input when the grip is pressed. And we need to try to set this up. So, how to connect Oculus Quest 2 to Unity Editor. So here's saying, there's someone's video. So they're saying, so let's grab our Quest unit and work with this. Okay. So the Oculus XR plugin is apparently what will allow us to communicate back and forth between the Oculus and what we're doing. Now I'm wondering if I have to run this from internally, and I can't actually do this live. So we need in project, we have the Oculus XR plugin. Let's see, where's the link cable? Okay. Okay, so that's good. Okay. So let's see if we can get this to work. So I'm going to close out of Unity for the moment, and then we're going to plug in the Oculus Quest link to the Oculus Quest 2, or Meta 2, whatever the hell they want to call themselves. I don't really care. Doesn't matter to me. And let's go ahead and see if we got this to work. So let's link this up really fast. Whoa, we're losing everything today. Here we are. Okay. It would help if it was on, wouldn't it? Okay. Starting up. Okay. It heard the hardware. That's connected. And what's next? Come on. All right, so we're in here. Let's see. Left controller not connected. Well, that's fine for the moment. I don't mind. All right, let's just continue. And let's make sure the link is actually functional. Quest link using, let's see, launch. Okay, I believe now the link is set up. That just opened the Oculus App Store thing. So let's go ahead and try to get Unity back open and see if we're connected to it now. Yes, I know the left controller is not connected. We got it. Thank you. All right, there we are. So there's a hand, there's controllers. Now I have hands rather than controllers. Let's go ahead and open up Oculus Quest 2 and see what we can get. Oh, they bump up the price of the Quest too? I had no idea. That sucks. So what is it? $500, $400, and $500 for the two different ones? That sucks actually, because I had a bunch of proposals that were being put out that budgeted it for the cheaper of the two. So it looks like we'll be spending more money than I expected after all. That sucks. Let's see here. So we've got this in. Let's see now if we hit play. If we connect. Okay, we've got a ... Although I think it's just finding my face. And I'm not seeing anything in the display. Let's see, that is running. This is on. ... Okay, hey, there we go. Okay, so we're seeing it, and the controller is working now. So now we can actually get input live. Whoa. So more importantly is, if I press, we do have it being registered that I'm pressing the grip and letting go. So that works too. All right, great. So we have input running. Yeah, VR development is stupid half the time, honestly. If you think these are bad to develop for, we have a 10-sided cave system, a cylindrical system at work that you walk into, and development on that, because it's a cluster of computers, it's 6 computers, really kind of sucks, because half the time you don't realize you're going to break stuff until you dive right in. And while they try to create stuff to help you with it, it really doesn't always work, honestly. It's just really a pain in the ass. And unless you're there physically, it's hard to develop with. Okay, so the input system inside of Unity works. We know that. The only thing that I don't really like is it looks like this is getting called whenever I press it. It's not getting called when I release it. So what I might want to do is, I want like an on-down button is what I actually want. So why don't we try to figure that one out? So if we go to that tutorial I was talking about in the last stream I was doing, that might give me some insight on how to use a new input system properly, because I don't really know. I'm still learning it. Let's see. We need to find engines, Unity, and let's see. Input system made easy is the tutorial I was working with. And what we're going to do is scroll down and try to find on button down and on button up scenario. So we got plenty of links here for ads. Rewired versus the new. No, we don't want Unity rewired. We want the messaging system, but specifically we want to deal with buttons. So on fire, so this is when that happens. On modifier, I want, let's see, value, input value dot is pressed. So, oh, that's a good idea to get prescription lenses. I didn't think, I just went and got contacts, but I think my prescription has changed and the contacts don't work very well anymore. We were doing some Magic Leap development for a brief period of time. Not Magic Leap in particular, but we were evaluating Magic Leap, Daiquiri, and a few other products. And in doing so, we had to figure stuff out, pretty much. We had to see which one was best. Magic Leap was trash for anyone who has a large head. We had some students who couldn't put the damn thing on their head. Literally, it would not fit around a certain head size because it's got that band that just doesn't get big enough. And yeah, it's just not great. So we do value dot, and then we want to do, so let's do is pressed instead. And we will do left grab here plus value dot is pressed. Do I have to convert that to string? It's probably going to automatically be done, but might as well do it. Okay, so that's on left grab. Might want to trigger the right grab as well soon. So let's go back over here, let this load up. And like I said, right now we're just getting the basics of the input system down because this is new for me. I got to play with it for a few minutes and see how to work with it. Okay, so here it is. I'm going to press the grip and we've got grab true, but we only get grab true out of this. So that's not really what we want. We want to, I would like to know when the state changes. Getting the state of a button like this will only work if action triggers on both the press and release, which can be done with the interaction or by using a value action type. Okay. We could also get a floating point value for it if we wanted to. But I don't like either of those. So let's go ahead to the input system itself. Yeah, that would be nice. I haven't used the Cosmos yet. That's one of the few I haven't played with. I need to jump into that. Let's see. Grab left, we have it set to a button type. If we go to interactions, we can do hold, multi-tap, press. Let's do hold. Let's see. So I'm sorry, this is holding it down. It's not continuing it, right? So there's press. Note that the press interaction is only necessary when wanting to customize button press behavior. For default press behavior, simply set the action type to button and use the action without interactions added to it. Trigger behavior, press only, release only, press and release. Uses default button press point set in the project-wide input settings. Part of me thinks that this isn't correct. Let's see, there's hold, multi-tap, press, slow tap, or tap. So the instructional guide says, well, it's the equivalent of get access in Unity's new input system. Get access action type. I'm more interested in on button down and on button up, honestly, than anything else. So how do I simulate that? Or do I have to do that within my script to make it work? We can grab the value vector, then add the input value parameter. Yes, that's correct. So let's do Control F, on, button, down. How about up? Oh, there's 101. It can be an analog, but I'm pretty sure you can also remake it so that it doesn't matter using the new Unity input system. So we can basically cast it over to where it doesn't have to be that way, which is what I'm trying to do right now. Because we could just do this as a value, right? But honestly, I want to be treating it like a button to begin with, so it doesn't really matter. So here we have double deep, so it's just a button control type value. And if we go to interactions, this is the only part that I don't love about the new system, is trying to figure it out. So we have hold, multiple taps, press, slow tap, and then tap. So what's press? So if I do press and release, and then we save this, and we come back over here and grab the object, does it tell us what we're going to deal with? So if we open this up, and we go to the sphere, it's going to tell us that we have an on device lost, on device regained, on controls changed, on grab right, and on grab left. So it's not, we don't get a different function, which means in my head that I'm going to have to query the object itself and determine what happens. That's what in my head I'm thinking. So if we have trigger behavior press and release, we could save, we close out of this, we come back in here. I'm wondering now if value is going to give me a true and a false value as opposed to just a true value whenever it fires. Let's bring the console over here so we can see what's going on. Bring this back over here and see if this works. Okay, let's grab the left controller, right controller, and left controller not connected. Yes, it is. You just need to wake up. Wake up, sir. There you go. Wake up. Okay, so here we are. And if so there we go. True, false. True, false. True, false. So that's what I wanted. Down, up, down, up. Now I can record the state, which means this can work with the same code we developed last time for this entire game, because all I was relying on was an on button down, on button up state. Importantly is how I did that, which is something I don't really want to forget at the moment. So let's go over here, back to edit asset. We went to, let's see, the button itself, right? And it's set to button, the left one. But more importantly is we did an interaction type to that. So grab right has an interaction that is press and release. So we want to do the same thing here. We're going to grab this, go to press, and choose press and release for how it operates. Let's save that out. Now I'm not sure why I would want an interaction on the lower level of that and not the action. So whatever, doesn't matter. Okay, so now both buttons, excuse me, should be able to react to things. So let's go ahead and open up the old Unity project and see if we can tear out part of how that worked. So let's see. I don't remember which one I'm going to want to mess with here. Yes, it does. You're right. I wouldn't mind uppercutting it. Maybe we'll put the physics on by the end of it so we can just have a fighting game. We'll just fight animatronics instead. That'll be how we run this thing. All right, so we are in, I think, the Hdrp pipeline in this one, which is why everything is a mess and a nightmare. Yep, Hdrp pipeline right there. So what we're probably going to want to do is tear out some of the scripts that we have. Although I'm looking here, and this whole thing looks really tiny. So there's almost nothing to this. So this is the wrong project. Let's close out of this one and open up A Night at Georgie's, which was the old project for this, and see if we can't tear out some of the base functionality we had already implemented. Anything to speed up development at this point and get interaction. The key thing I want to do in this project today is just get the ability to interact with things done. Okay, so let's go to scripts. And oh my god, so we have Vive controller motion, and then we should have an entire pick-upable system, which is right here, as well as a usable system. So we have usable, use manager, Vive controller left. Let's open up one of the Vive controllers and see if we can tear out that functionality and make it work. Okay, so here we have hovering, whether or not an object is usable, whether or not an object is pick-upable. So we had a differentiation between pick-ups and usables. We also did a, looks like we did a, what is this called, a singleton with how we designed this, although we didn't quite design it exactly correctly. We do this nonsense over here. We use subscriptions, which is the plus minus to handle things. We have on pickup, on drop, on start, on end, on trigger enter, on trigger exit. Okay, so this class requires a few other ones to work properly. So we're going to grab, see, what's a Vive input? I think Vive input was the base class that, or at least not the base class, but a class that had all of the different buttons, which we don't need anymore because we're not using the Vive controller system. But we do, let's see, probably want to grab these three. Let's grab usable, and let's also grab pickup. And let's see, what's Vive controller motion? Vive device tracker. Okay, that's finding the location of the object, which we don't need to handle anymore. That's automatic. So let's do this one, this one, this one, this. What's the use manager? I feel like we're probably going to need this. Use manager. Ugh, we're also using singletons. That's I'm past that part in my life. Triggered used object equals null. Start. We grab an instance of the two controllers. We see whether or not the object has been triggered. Exit. Update. It's all commented out. So I don't think we're going to need that. So let's go ahead and go back to our scripts and just grab the ones we know we need. Wrong project, George. There we go. So let's grab Vive controller left, Vive controller right, usable. Now there's a usable light, which we might want to consider grabbing. And pick-upable. We also had a play manager, which we don't need right now. We have a hover, which we might want. I think that's it. So right click, we will go to export package. So you can see it's grabbing a lot of extra crap that we really don't want. So let's see what we can get rid of. Examples. I honestly, let's not include dependencies. Well, let's take a look at C really fast, maybe. So tons of Vive controller crap. Yeah, none of this really matters for what we're doing. So we're going to go ahead and export this out. Let's go to, let's see, buoyancy slip house. We have, why are we are missing a lot of stuff in here, aren't we? Oculus Quest 2. So this needs to be its own folder called Unity within this. But anyway, we'll come in here, packages, and we're going to call this player input systems. Old. Save. Okay. We'll leave that project open for now. Let's go to assets, import package, custom package, and player input systems old. We're going to import all those scripts back into what we're doing. I'm trying to get my cables undone over here because I've got a million of them. Okay, so now within this project, we should have under scripts, we should have a few different ones. Hover, pick-upable, usable, controller right, and controller left. Let's take a look at Vive controller first, because I believe Vive controller left and Vive controller right inherit, or they don't. They do not inherit from it. Why don't they inherit? Why did I not abstract this? Require component type of Vive device tracker. Okay. Vive controller tracker, usable. This is more what we care about. Usable and pick-upable. And we're going to store the states of those objects. So awake, we do an instance of this, we grab the tracker. None of this matters, so we might as well start renaming things. So let's go ahead and just call this, oh, controller doesn't really matter. I'm pretty sure we can delete this, but I just want to be careful before I do that. This should be a copy and a paste. So we have stored, we have on pickup, on use start, on use end, on trigger enter, on trigger exit. See, this is, I'm worried about renaming this. Let's just rename it to controller for now and get rid of Vive. Okay. And we can get rid of required component type for now. That doesn't matter. We'll save this. We will get rid of a few things here. We don't need to grab the component, and we're not going to be registering because we're going to be using the messaging system internal to this. So that's not important. Let's go ahead and open up controller right so we're doing the same thing to both. So here's left, and let's put the right one on the right side. So Vive controller, let's get rid of Vive and just do controller. We're going to get rid of, we'll keep the static instance for now until I can get rid of it without breaking things. So we have hover over here, and we do not have hovers. So I'm wondering if at some point in the project we had bound other objects to one of the hands, and that's why we don't have the same functionality across both. Really, the functionality should be controller independent. So this should be distilled into one script, really, is what I'm thinking. So we've got all of this stuff over here where we register for device management. We're going to get rid of that. That's fine. So we have on, pick up, on, pick up. Now, things are a little bit more complicated between the two here. So if hover and not picked up, debug.pickingUp hover object, stored pickup equals hover object. So this looks like we reset the transforms on that object in the left hand. And then we reset things to be null. That's all good. We have on drop, where we're past a grip value, and then we drop the object. The only difference being that we debug one versus the other. On use. On use, that's the same on that. That's pretty much the same, except we've got a debug, on trigger enter, usable. So here we're dealing with usables, and here we're dealing with usables and hoverables. So it seems like the right controller might be missing some of the functionality that was added. But we have pick upable, but then we have hover. And then on trigger exit. So this doesn't confuse me at all, of course. All right, so let's look at the base systems, which is hover and pick up. And from those two, we should then be able to figure out the rest of it. Let's go ahead and also open up Lucidchart. They should start paying me for how many times I say this stupid company's name. Let's see, login, need to do sponsorships. And let's find Buoyancy Slip Funhouse. There we are. So this is when we were playing around with the different locations of things. What we're going to do now instead is talk about the interaction systems. So we have usable, which is use start and use end. It's an interface. So I assume an object will use this. So let's go ahead and put this down here. We'll call this usable. And honestly, we should be doing this better. We should do UML. I need to be doing this more because at work we've got a couple projects that are going to need to be properly documented for our client. So doing that here is just going to make me better for work too. Okay, so pluses are public functions or variables. Minuses are private, and then there's like a, I think it's hashtag, right, is protected. So here we have a usable object, void use start, void use end. But neither of those are public, which to me would be a problem because someone else is probably going to call the object being usable, right? Because you're going to interact with it. We're going to call the component, and then we're going to interface with whatever features or functionality it happens to have. This is an interface. I don't know how in UML interface, how I specify something is an interface. Let's see. So let's come over here, and we'll go to IBM.com. And what looks like it's just double brackets on the top to indicate that it is a interface, which is easy enough. So coming back over here, we'll just do usable, enter, interface. Fine. We'll go with that format for the moment. Interface, usable. And the problem with interfaces, though, is you cannot serialize them in Unity. So that's going to be a problem for us, possibly. We're going to have to see. But anyway, let's go to the functions. We have a return type goes on the end because this is like JavaScript. I hate that. I absolutely hate that. We'll do void for the return type. The input type is a game object called user, which is weird. I don't know why I would have done that. I don't know why I would have done that actually, but we'll get to it eventually. So we'll grab this line, paste it here. We will do use end. Game object void. We'll get rid of this. There are no variables, so we can get rid of those as well. So that's usable in a nutshell. Let's check out the pick upable one. So coming over here to pick upable. I hate that name now more than ever. It's a long ass name. Pick upable. I wouldn't mind making that shorter. Okay, so a pick upable object currently requires a collider and a rigid body to be on the object. I don't know if that should be required, honestly. I think you can get away with objects that are not, well, no. It does need that in order to work with the Unity collision system, right? So yes, that's fine. But the collider can be a trigger, and the rigid body can ignore everything. So that's fine. Let's get back to our document. Let's see. Here we are. So I'm sorry that this part is probably a little bit boring, but it's kind of important to get this part down right now so that we don't mess anything up. So pick upable is a mono behavior. So this is inheritance, right? So we're going to just put a guy down here, call this mono behavior, and we're going to inherit from mono behavior right here. Whee! This is the not so fun part of project management that no one wants to ever talk about. Documentation, but is probably the most important part of project management. So we have a few different things. We have 4 public variables currently. I'm not going to get too crazy with deleting things. So public bool, that's the type, right? Type goes second. So let's do bool, and then we say what the default value is, right? False. And this is held by right. Why do we have a held by right hand, held by left hand? Why don't we just indicate what you hold it by holding a reference to the object that is holding you? Wouldn't that be a better way of handling this? So let's do that instead. So instead we're going to do a public game object and just say held by and set that equal to null. That way we don't need this junk here. It doesn't matter which hand you have it held in at the moment. If you do need that feature or functionality, that's something we can kind of shoehorn in later, I think. Yes, I wish Unity got rid of that whole hiding member thing, because I hate that it automatically assumes you have these things, or it gives you them. So we have pick upable, held, just going to do held by. And we are going to do this to be, what, game object for right now. That value might change to something else. The class that actually is the controller, right? So that'll be that in the future. So held by, then we're going to have the rigid body. Whoops. Copy, paste, paste, and let's see. I always wonder why rigid body has the body part lowercase, because I always consider it 2 separate words. We have a type collider, which could be any type of collider. And we have a rigid body. Oculus just said, check out new titles for something. Rigid body. Okay, so these are all null to start with. Then we're going to go in an awake. We're going to try to grab these particular objects. And then we're going to do an abstract. This is an abstract method that has to be implemented, which is what happens when you pick it up. I don't think this should be abstract. Honestly, I think that a pick-upable object should have basic functionality that gets overridden by any other class. So yeah, I think we can probably change this class to not be abstract. For right now, we'll list it as abstract, but I'm going to change that, I think. Next up, we'll do pickup, which will be a type void return. I'm not sure about that, actually. Let's do pick up, and then we're going to get a transform of the parent. Yeah, I'm not sure if I like that either. So we will then do a drop, which gives us what? Nothing? And it's a return type of void as well. And that is public. Okay, great. So, since we have these two elements here, do we just make something that we pick up, I guess? So coming over here, let's, I would love to have some objects that don't look like trash in our scene. Let's go to the prior game and see if there's something from in here we can tear out, like the fan. So scripts. So here's the fan script. We're going to take fan and actually put it under the fan object. In terms of organization, I actually prefer not to have a scripts folder and a models folder. I like to have each one in its own bit of functionality. But you can't do that when you first start a project unless you have the whole thing figured out, which no one ever does. So it's just not a good idea. So we have the fan object here. I'm noticing, where's our prefabs? So do we have a fan prefab? We do not have a fan prefab. Okay, so that sucks. Which means that all the features and functionality of the fan are lost inside of one of the levels. So unless we can find the level that it's part of, we're going to have to recreate that. I think that's putting scripts on each button, if I remember right. So let's just see, main title. If we go to the main title, I think the fan is inside of that. Let's see, F, no, main menu. Okay, here we are. So this is the old scene with the old room. So we should be able to grab this fan. And so there's the fan, and there's the fan manager, which is a stupid name. We don't need to call it a manager. We have a knob for each one, and then we have a box for each. So going back under fan, let's take that object and make it into a prefab. A child of a prefab instance cannot be deleted or moved, or components cannot be rendered. You can unpack the prefab. Okay, so the whole security room is a prefab, which is the problem. So let's right click, and we're not going to save any of this, so it doesn't matter what we're about to do. And we're going to unpack this. Prefab, unpack completely. We're going to take the fan, drag the fan down here, and then we're going to close out of the scene before I accidentally hit Control S. Don't save. Okay, unfortunately, global illumination processing is going on in the background, which we don't really want. Release mode disables C# debugging. No, we're going to keep debugging mode. Let's get out of the scene, please. Please, any other scene but this one. There we are. Whoa. That must have been an early test for our AI system. That is something, that's for sure. Okay, so now we'll go under fan, and I'm going to right click. Let's just double check really fast. We have a Fong 2 material, which is not good. So let's right click, go to export package. Once again, it's trying to grab everything under the sun. Let's not include dependencies, and hope it has the whole thing. Export this out and call this fan. Save. Okay, close this, come back in here, game objects, assets, import custom package, fan package, import. And we're getting some errors, 5-track device, but we expected these, right? Because they're coming, because we had a whole powered system. That's why we're having things break. It's assuming that the fans would get turned off when the power goes out. So the fan class itself is inheriting from type powered. We might actually want to tear the powered system out and bring it along, because that was a pretty useful feature we added. I think I'll probably want to use it again. So let's grab powered and bring that over to the project. So coming back in here, let's go to scripts. And there's powered graphic, and power manager. Power manager is a single instance. Probably, I'm assuming it finds all powered objects in the scene and probably begins removing power from anything. This isn't necessarily how I want to use power in the future with my game. Let's see, what's powered graphic? Text mesh, power manager, missing power from scene. Yes, okay, so we did some stuff there. Let's go ahead and grab powered, power manager, and power graphic and export those out. Export package, not dependencies, please. And let's go to power systems, power scripts, or how about power functionality? Save. Great. Coming back over to the other project, game object assets, import custom package, and let's find power functionality. Import those in. Whoop. Too much. There we go. Scripts. Let's right click, create a folder, and just call it power. And let's see. Power graphic, and power manager can go under power so that we can try to keep things slightly organized. So we have a fan blade, fan light, fan speed. All this should now work because the power system exists. I don't believe the fan itself does not rely on anything. So here we get a renderer, we get a material, and we modify the render. That's fine. Let's get the fan in the scene. So let's go to fan, throw this in here, hit F to frame up on it, and it looks like we've got some problems. The associated script cannot be loaded. Please fix any compilation issues. We're going to open up the fan manager and try to look for the errors and also clean up any of our line spacing while we're at it. It all looks fine. No errors are popping up either. So let's close out of this, see what happens, give it a few seconds. So fan blade, fan starter knob. This script also, associated script cannot be loaded. Please fix any compilation errors. So let's see down here. Clear. Vive device tracker cannot be found in controller, and there's also a power manager issue. So we'll fix both of them in a second. Wow, it's already 5 o'clock and I haven't done anything. That's the problem. Under Vive controller, we have a Vive device tracker, which we're going to get rid of. This can go away under start. I believe the rest of this is fine. Nope, here we go. Vive.getInstance.get button right trigger touched. So this is if object and not instant, the get button right bigger touch has not occurred. Wow, how was I doing this? Okay, we're going to get rid of that part of that line for right now. You know what? No, we're not. That might end up being important. So what we're going to do is comment that part out and then put the new line in. Do this, 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 then this, and get rid of that. We could delete the script, but I'm just too worried about breaking so many systems that I won't be able to recover from it within the span of this streaming period. The type of usage graphic could not be found. Are you missing a using directive? So usage graphic is a type that I didn't bring over. So coming back over here, we have usage graphic. So these are a number of bars that display on the screen. So let's close out of that and come back in here. And this was for the power manager to indicate, to update to you how much you're working with. Now I don't directly call, oh wait, power usage graphic. Here, set bars gets called. So that's the problem. So let's just get rid of that for right now. We might add that back in the future, but not at the moment. Okay, good. You know, I actually made a lot more progress in this than I thought I had, looking back now on this project. So, you know, maybe it wasn't as much of a failure as I thought it was. Let's see. So we're in the, it's loading. Everything's paused and frozen. Okay, there we go. All right, so moving around. good. And what are we doing? We're going to clear out of this, and we are trying to set up the fan, right? So the fan is right there, but there's no 3D model associated with it. So we have fan blades, which has a mesh render, but the mesh itself is missing. Everything is missing. Okay, so we need to go back to our other project and do another export for the fan. So here's the fan, and here's the fan model, which you can see here has got some issues, it looks like. We have blades. Let's see if the fan model came along for the ride over here. So if we go under the fan itself, we can see we do have a fan model. And if we open that up, it does have all the subcomponents. So it looks like it just lost the association between the prefab and this. So if we open up the fan prefab and we start setting these components individually, we should be fine. So this is the fan blade, so we can drag the blade. Can I not? Wow, we have a lot of assets already in this that we don't want. So where is the... Why can't I find the fan? It's saying there is no asset. So going to the model, scale factor is wonky as hell, but we're going to ignore that for the moment. All right, so let's leave this really fast and grab the fan model and just throw it in there. Okay, so that fan is not scaled correctly at all. It's huge, but we will ignore that for the moment. So why... You're able to find everything over there. So how come we can't find it over here? So the fan blades, if we click on this and fan blades, there we go. I'm just an idiot, that's all. Body, happens a lot. End knob. You know what? I'm almost, it's fine. Start knob. So we have knob 1, 2, and 3. Ugh. So bottom, center support, I don't really know. So that's the bottom of that. That's definitely not the right thing. Vertical support, what about that? Nope. Wireframe, vertical support, LED, knob 1, knob 2, center support, blades. LED, oh my god. Is this really how I made this model? Alright, I'm going to delete the prefab from the scene. We're going to grab the model. Looks like the prefab's not going to come along for the ride very easily. Let's go down to each sub-element and add the correct material to it. If we open this up, it's currently registering Fong 1. The materials we have are the fan body, the fan LED, and something called Fong 2. So if we do the Fong body, which does not have any textures associated with it, so we're missing all the textures. If we go into the... Okay, so we need to... Wow, we're missing a lot. Okay, let's try this again. So we have the fan, we have fan materials. Where are the textures? This is why I don't like keeping things in separate folders. There's tests, settings, scripts, scenes, prefabs, private cove, models, kitchen, repair room, materials, main menu, level, and wow, I did this horribly. So we have a materials folder. If I did this right, we should just be able to look up fan. And here are the textures. So fan, fan M, fan normal, fan albedo. Where are these located? So this is under assets level, T security room, fan M, fan, 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 fan. Wow. This is turning into more of a pain in the ass to get this to come over here than I expected. So level, security room, fan, and these are the assets right there. So let's grab these, put them under fan, and I'm going to put them under the materials section and delete the folder called fan M. So now we just have the scripts, which really do not need their own folder. So let's move them out of here to the top part of this and delete that folder. Come here. Okay, so we've got the fan model, the fan prefab, the scripts for the fan, and then we have materials. Why we have a fan and a fan manager, I don't know. What's the difference? This should be really probably cut down to one script or a couple scripts at most. Okay, so then we have materials. We have the fan body, which we'll notice doesn't have the correct thing associated with it. So what if we do this? I'm wondering if this material is the incorrect one for this fan object. So if we move this fan into the scene, and I go to materials and we put this on the fan body, we'll notice that the fan body does not light up properly. So fan body, even though this has the correct albedo on it, it is not showing up here at all. Let's turn off lighting. That's not helping. It is a standard shader. This sucks. All right, so it's just a huge mess up. Let's go to substance. This is just trying to get a stupid object. Oh, spider. Come here, little guy. Here. All right. Okay, let's do a search for fan. So here we go. Check that out. There's this fan prefab, right? Which is located in assets fan. That's the fan. That's the one. Okay. So coming back in here, delete that fan, grab the prefab, throw that one in here, hit F to zoom in. Let's take a look at how this one is built up. So we've got fan underscore 03 underscore underscore fan underscore M. That is bad form, George, on your part. So let's select that. And under materials, we can grab, these were all converted automatically over to the the high definition rendering pipeline. That's why we're having problems. Okay, it's starting to make more sense now. That process destroyed everything. Not destroyed, but just did some not so good stuff. So I just need to extract the textures, and I'll do everything I need to on the other end. So going back to materials, yeah, we'll be working with those. So fan, right click, export package, turn off all dependencies, export, fan, yes, great. Coming back to Unity, coming back over here, let's delete this fan object. Let's go to assets, import custom package, and fan. Fan manager is new, it looks like, ish. And the textures are new, so we'll import those. I'm starting to hit a stride and working. Let's see. Come on, anytime, any day now. Anytime you want to load this stuff up, it's good for me. All right, so now hopefully we have a fan that will work. So going to the fan object, fan, bring this, that's the prefab, still not correct. We'll grab the actual fan. That has bad associations. Now we do have a separate fan folder. We're going to move all those out. Stop it. Go away. Thank you. I'm going to delete that one. And so that's the material for the fan. And let's go back and grab the fan and put it in here. And try to figure out what's going on with this damn thing. So we have materials. We have a recursive lookup. For each imported material, Unity first looks for an existing material named base texture name. So the question is what our base texture name is for this object. So under materials, use external materials, use base texture, recursive lookup. A local materials folder. Let's try that and hit apply. So it's going to be looking in this material folder locally for these materials here. So we have blades, and that's looking at Phong. They're all associated with Phong too. So if we take fan body, which is what? Standard material. So standard's fine. But if we click on this, you'll notice that the material, nothing's actually happening. So let's choose the bottom. We still have this associated with Fong02. The issue is we have emission turned on. That's the problem. So let's just turn emission off for a moment. I know emission is part of the buttons, but it's not like what we don't need it right now. So now we can start fixing this. So fan body goes to the albedo. And then we need the normal map, which it looks like it's already been set to be a type normal. Why does this look so terrible? This is not the UV map for this object. That's what it is. Okay, fine. Everything is associated with Fong. So what if we, yeah, it's the wrong. All right, whatever. Doesn't matter. We will fix the fan later. Let's just get this to reduce its size a bit and just have it somewhat floating, I guess, in the air maybe. Something like that, so we can pick it up and just put it in front of us. And so to get the fan system working, this is what? We need to attach a few things to this. So we're going to need, we have a pick-upable class. I don't like that this is abstract. There's no reason for a pick-upable object in my mind to be abstract. This should be a class that I can put on objects. We can have other pick-upables that are sub-derived from this class, but we do not need this one abstract. So we're going to get rid of both of these. So pickup is going to happen when a call gets issued to this object. The call is going to get issued to it from the controller. We have a controller left and we have a controller right. We have left controller, controller right. So this is where things are going to get more interesting. So we have, we're going to need to copy this right here. I'm going to get rid of this script, come into this one now, and start working with the grabbing on this. So we're going to come down here and paste that on grab left. Once again, I'm not loving what I've called this, but it's fine. Using Unity engine dot input system, right? Grab that, come up to the top here, paste this over on that side as well. We're going to grab that code, which was on grab left, but this one is going to be on grab right for this one. We're going to put it right under start. We're going to do on grab right. Okay. And we need to attach the scripts to the necessary things. So coming back over here, let's jump into the scene, find the OpenVR camera rig, and you know what? I kind of want to, it's just under, so we have input. I'm going to get rid of this controller here, left controller. Yes, I know. Go away. Go away. Let's go to scripts. I'm going to take controller left, controller right, and controller and put them under input. So I have them in the right place. Okay. And coming back over input now, we're going to open up the different controllers. So I'm going to name this left hand and right hand, and we will attach the left controller and we will attach the right controller. And we also need to grab the player input, copy component, come to this one, and paste as a new component, player input. All right. So now we've got the spheres and we have the controllers. Oh, my nose is itchy. So let's open up the two controllers, the scripts for each one, left controller, right controller, and start working with it from there. So we have the controller. The controller is going to create an instance of that controller in awake. This is fine for right now. Obviously, you should probably do a if instance is equal to null, or it does not equal null. Whatever. If it is null, then we're going to do this. Else, we are going to delete this, and then we will do a this.gameObject dot or actually this destroy this dot game object. No, just this, right? And then we should probably do a debug debug.log. Warning maybe is better. We don't want an error, but a warning would be good. And then just say multiple instances of controller left found in the scene. There we are. Oh, sorry. Debug.log warning. We're going to grab all of this now and paste it over here in this awake. Once again, these classes are quite possibly going to become the same class, just not yet. Okay, so start is fine. So now we have the on grab left, on grab right. That's fine. However, we do need to know the state. That's going to become important for how we interact with things. So there's a hoverable portion here, hover pickup if on pickup, if the hover pickup and there's nothing currently stored in pickup. So stored pickup is here, hover pickup's there. You can only hover over one object at a time. All this crap is going to happen. Then we have on drop. When we pick up the object, is it saying that something can happen though? Because under fan, we're going to need to have, this is powered, but we're going to need to put a pick upable on this object. So the fan itself, so this is where we're also going to have to think about other stuff because it's composed of multiple sub items, right? So there are multiple meshes under this object. We're going to want to go to fan. Let's add a component. One, let's add pick upable. Whoops. That's not what I wanted to do. We're going to do pick upable. Pick upable requires crap to work, right? So we need to add some things. We're going to add a rigid body to it. We're going to add a collider. Let's just do a box collider for the moment. And let's go ahead to the size of the box collider and begin manipulating that. So we will move this to here. And let's move the top somewhere bigger than it. And if we come at this from a straight on view, this will be a little bit better. There we are. Come back around to the other side. Select our fan right here. And go back to the trigger, or the collider, excuse me, and move that down. Good enough for what we're doing. Get back out of isometric mode, save the scene. Good enough. All right, so our fan has a collider now, and our fan has a rigid body. Currently, gravity is on. We're going to turn gravity off. We're going to change the collision type to, I believe it needs to be continuous speculative if it was kinematic, but it's not. So we're going to do just continuous for the moment. I believe that's something we have to change when we grab the object, but we'll find out soon enough. Okay, so we have a collider. It's not set to trigger. So that's something else we need to take a look at. So how does this actually happen? Your controller itself is going to need, there's got to be like an on trigger enter, on trigger exit. So these happen here. So when we move through the triggered volume, we're going to check to see whether or not this is a hover object, and then we're going to do crap. We also check to see whether or not this is a usable object, and we do crap. So an object that is pick upable in the way this works should also be hoverable. I'm not loving this. I'm not liking this at all, honestly, because hover seems, yes, there's going to be a separate hover class, but it feels like the capabilities of what hovering is should lie more in pickup than a separate thing by itself, or something that pickup controls. So a pickup can implement hoverable, so a hoverable pickup, right? That's my gut feeling on this one. I don't know if it's right. But either way, we're going to need trigger volumes that we're working with and kinematics. So the left hand and the right hand already have sphere colliders on them. They're not set to be triggers. I don't know if I want that. We do not have a rigid body on the right hand or the left hand. We do need that. So let's add a rigid body to each. We're going to turn off gravity. We're going to turn off any angular drag. We're going to set both of them to be kinematic, and continuous speculative is what you have to have it set to, if I remember right. Okay, so let's just, this will not do anything right now. It shouldn't do anything, because we're going to go over the fan, and the fan has colliders, but it doesn't have anything to make anything happen. The hands will control. Is pick upable even necessary then? I'm debating whether or not pick upable is even useful now. Here's using, here's dropping and picking up, which is in the controller. And here the controller is handling what should happen. So debug.log, picking up the object, hover.getComponent rigid body is kinematic. We set that to be true for kinematics. We then set it to be the parent. We're probably going to change that. A direct parent-child relationship almost always ends in bad things because scaling and other things happen. Hover object to game object transform local position, identity position. These might be things we might want to override. Stored pickup is equal to hover pickup. On pickup. So you have to be over the object. So hovering has to have occurred. So the on trigger enter here, we try to see whether or not this is hoverable. Let's change the functionality of this for a little bit. I don't like this. We're just going to do pickups. Adding pickup behavior. And I think we're going to rename that as well. So we enter it and we exit it. So let's just comment out this part for now. And let's grab a, let's see, add pickup behavior. So both of these are going to happen. Pickupable is going to be here. I feel like this is more about keeping information for the object you pick up than anything else. So let's first start by renaming this, and I'm just going to call it pickup. Get rid of pickupable. That's fine. Come back over here to the actual scene. Find our scripts and rename this to just pickup. All right. So we need to now make it so that when we grab this object, the right things happen. We're going to do that through the following. So on trigger enter, we could do this through tags. We can check to grab the component, which is what we did over here. We try to grab the component and check to see if it's null. I would rather do this through tags, honestly, but it's fine. We'll do it this way. Other dot, let's do pickup. Pickup is going to be equal to other dot get component, and we're going to call this pickup. And then we're going to follow suit with what we have here. If temp pickup does not equal null. Oh, we can do hovering, right? We can keep the hover functionality. If temp hover does not equal null, let's see, where's temp hover? Hover pickup, pickupable, hover pickup, pickupable. Pickup hover, pickup stored. Then we will do on trigger enter if there's a temp hover, which is this one. So we will do if pickup does not equal null, which means we actually have an object that's been picked up. If hover object is equal to null, then the hover object is going to be equal to that. Okay? So hover object is equal to pickup. So that's just storing that object away. Now we need the same thing to happen, but this time when we let go of the object. So we're going to paste this here. Same thing here. We're grabbing that component. We're checking to see whether or not pickup is equal to null, or it does not equal null. If pickup does not equal to null, we have a pickupable object that we have just decollided with. We're then going to check to see if the hover object is equal to null. See, this is wrong. If hover object is equal to the pickup object, the one we just unstuck, then we're going to set the hover object equal to null. This is our way of exiting that area. But let's take a look here. Possible unintended reference comparison. To get a value comparison, cast the left-hand side to object. You're right, I don't want a value. This is correct. Great. So that is how we are going to, cannot implicitly convert this to that. Okay, so coming back over here, we have pickup and we have pickup, we have hover and we have usable. Why did we have so many of these? Let's bring over the right controller and take a look at the same thing. So we have pickupable, hover pickup, pickupable, stored pickup, but then we have a hover and a usable over here on top of all of that. So why? I don't know why we have all that right now. So usable object, we don't need to worry about using right now. What we need to worry about is this. So hover object. Did I call it hover pickup? Hover pickup. Hover pickup is equal to null. Hover pickup is equal to pickup. And then down here, hover pickup. If hover pickup is equal to pickup, then hover pickup is going to be equal to null. So we've let go of that object, or we're no longer within the bounds of that object. And what next? On use. So I think I understand now why it was abstract, because the behavior of picking up an object was always built into the hands. So I figured you'd have to implement pickup and then create your own script for that specific object, and then pickup and drop would be different for each one. So that's probably why it was originally created that way. It's not bad actually. I might go back to the way it was. If usable object does not equal null, so we don't need usables at the moment. So let's get rid of those. And we're going to get rid of this. This is a lot of work just to pick up an object, isn't it? I'm going to get rid of all of that and get rid of all that. So that's the left controller. We haven't done anything with the right controller. Usable, we don't need to worry about usables, but we do need to worry about pickups. So let's grab this one and this one. Once again, this code is the same, so I should really be just doing this from one script. But for right now, we're going to let it be. Okay, so on pickup, this isn't happening anymore. Then we have on drop, on use, on end. I'm going to get rid of this code for right now until we come back. And on trigger enter and on trigger exit is what we want to mess with. So here we're doing a bunch of usable stuff and pickupable. So I think one hand, the last time we did this, could pick objects up and the other hand couldn't. So let's just get rid of that for now. And we're going to do this here too. And we're going to paste this in here. And so now we can hover over objects. The only issue is when we are going over these objects, we've got nothing that's going to say that we're actually doing that. So we might want to print something out. So let's just do a debug bug.log and then just say entered. Oh, let's not do that there though. Let's do it in here because we want to make sure that we have a pickupable. So pick up object entered. then we'll do the same thing down here. Pick up object exited. And let's take this and just put it over here. And once again, the reason I'm doing this is because I'm pretty sure at some point we're going to fork the differences between the left and the right hand. So we're duplicating code rather than creating a single class that I think will end up splitting anyway. Okay, now we've got the ability to go in and out of that area, right? What I am going to do, what I'm going to do is go ahead and close this old scene. I'm not going to save that so that my system isn't going to get destroyed by what we're about to do. So Oculus, put this in. Let's just make sure it's running. Heads on. Okay, I know my controllers can't be found. We're going to work on that in just a second. Controllers are found. Let's go ahead and hit run. Okay, we're going to clear. Okay. So, I'm trying to... Oh, that's not... No. Come back. Oh, no. No. So, we have a rigid body, and the collider is not set to trigger right now. Now, the hands have rigid bodies. They are set to kinematic, and these are not set to trigger. So let's set these to trigger for right now as well. That's interesting. Did you notice the difference? There's a controller right. Controller. Oh, they're just in a different spot. So let's move it up the stack. That's good. Let's try this again. Play. Okay. All right. Dink. So, oh, there's a lot of trash. Let's try to get rid of some of the trash here. Nope. Okay. And nope, we're not getting anything out. So, okay, this is interesting. So I've never seen this before. So it does tell us when we've exited the headset. That's an event we can register for. That's kind of cool. It might be something we want to use later on to clean up our act. So the fan does not have a pick up script on it. So let's add a pickup. There's a held by, rigid body, and then a collider. Let's go ahead and hit run. Okay. All right, so we had events firing off, right? So dink, object entered, object exited. Entered, exited, entered, exited. There we go. So we can now enter and exit. Let's make it so that we can grab the object now. So let's do that. Okay, so controller right and controller left. We need to check to see, so here's on grab right, which is going to be the same as on pickup, which we see right here. So if hover pickup and we do not have a stored pickup object, so let's take this, put this right here. I'm going to get rid of this function right now. Oh, actually, no, we're not. We are going to see, we're not going to do this. So we're going to do this instead. We're going to do if value dot is pressed, else, so it's not pressed anymore. So this only fires when something happens. So we are then going to call on pickup in here, and then we're going to call on drop here. And on pickup, in this case, gets a float. We're going to get rid of that. We don't need to pass the float. We don't need to pass the grip value at the moment. We don't care about how grippy it was, just that we have gripped. Okay, so coming back to this side, we're going to do the same thing. We'll grab both of these, and it's going to be the same functionality. Once again, screaming at all of our faces that we should just have one class for this and not two. I know, I am well aware. Get rid of this as well. Pickup on drop. Storing the pickup, stored dot pickup dot drop. Stored pickup is equal to null. Okay. I think we're good. So this pickup is much more complicated than this one. This one simply prints it out and swaps the object. These ones change the pivots of the object. I'm inclined to believe that this is the correct one. So I'm going to grab this code from this side and paste it on this side. And we're going to take a look on the onDrop. So here's onDrop. So we drop the object and then we this doesn't do anything to actually drop it. It's not going to unparent the object. So this is so that the how I thought I was doing this before to me is just completely wrong, because here I'm assuming so the hand is doing all the transforming, right, and it's deciding where it's supposed to go. But then here I'm letting the object decide how it's going to be handled, which to me is one thing should decide. It shouldn't be this, well, you know, you're picking up and you happen to do it now. I'm going to do it and you're going to do it. So, easiest thing to do is to come in here and find this code, which is where we set the parent of the object and unparent it for now. And we're just going to do this dot parent is equal to null. So it'll go back to the scene parent, which might not be great. I don't know. So let's do this, and we're going to paste an onDrop and put the stored pickup name in there. Okay, so with that, we should now register that these events happen. We collide with objects, and we should then have the object get transformed. Things that we're not handling right now is if both controls try to grab the same object, you know, what's going to happen then? And we don't know. What's going to happen is one will probably steal it from the other one. A whole bunch of references won't be properly handled, and bad things will occur. So let's see. Putting this on and get my controller. So here we go. Bink. And there we go. We drop it. Uh-oh. I can't let it go. So that's a problem. Null reference exception to an instance of an object. Okay. Let's figure that one out. So controller right. So coming back over here to the right hand, controller right line 75. So controller right line 75, which is this one right here. Hover.pickup.transform.parent is equal to null. All right. onDrop gets called here, and this is onGrab right, and this is controller left, which is onGrab left. These are separate. Pickup drop happens, so the drop occurred over here, but the issue is that it was saying that the drop was already null. So the hover got set to something else, or it didn't get set at all. So we're getting an issue with when something gets set. So that's going to come down to a few things. It's going to come down to dropping it. So dropped here. So we have stored pickup, and we have hover pickup. So stored pickup.drop, stored pickup is equal to null. Hover pickup.gameObject.transform.parent is the problem. The hover object, we shouldn't be detecting another hoverable object. So hover object got set to null here. So why are we setting it? We don't even have a hoverable object possibly at this point. When we picked it up, the hoverable object left. So this should disappear as far as I'm concerned. We'll come down to onDrop over here, and we'll get rid of that over there as well. And coming back into the game view. Okay, clear that out, and let's hit run. Okay. Bink, picked it up, let it go, and it's stuck. It's still stuck. All right. Kinematic body only supports speculative continuous collision detection. Yeah, sure. All right, clear. clear. Turn off. So it's the right controller we're messing with at the moment, so it's on drop. So if there is a stored pickup object, stored pickup is equal to hoverable pickup inside of here. Parent transform.local, transform.rotation, stored pickup equals hover, hover pickup is equal to null. Then we come here, we do a debug.log, we print out the object's name, stored pickup.drop. Pickup.drop does nothing at the moment. That's the problem. We don't have a way of letting it go, do we? So we need transform.setParent. Okay, we're going to drop the object. Okay. All right, here we go. We have the right controller. Pick up and drop. Pick up and drop. Pick up and drop. Pick up and drop. Yay. Oh, we lost it. Oh, we lost it. So if we're still inside, because the hover gets reset, we have to take our hand out and put it back in. So that's an issue that we might want to consider fixing later by keeping better track of the object. See? So there we go. Here you go. So let's have a little bit more fun with it and make it something we can throw and bust up Foxy's face. What do you say? So pick upable objects require a collider and a rigid body. When the object is picked up or dropped, that is where all of the properties of the object should really get set, which is why I said it to be abstract before. But there's nothing saying we can't just give it base functionality that will turn on everything that's required, right? So rigid body dot is kinematic would be set to false. Rigid body dot, or yeah, that would be all we need, right? And for picking it up would be that. For picking it up, this would be true. See, that's almost why I'm thinking the object binds itself and not the other way around. Because here we're doing a lot of work, right? Where we're resetting the orientation of the object and all that nonsense. I wonder if the object should be handling this. So here we do this. It's fine. We'll keep it the way it is. Importantly are the gravity, right? Gravity, so we'll do rigid body dot and then all right, clear. Okay, now it's not working at all. So I bet you we set it to be is kinematic here. What did we do inside of the controller? In the controller, we set the kinematic side of the object. Then we set the transform. And then we set the hoverable. So why did that break everything? Are the triggers still working? Pick up, hover pick up. We don't do anything with it, so that shouldn't have broken anything. Let's turn this off, clear this, and try again. Okay. Try this again. Come on. What the hell? Pickup object exited. Pickup object entered. So that part's working. Okay, so what is not working? So let's go to the fan. All I did was change... I didn't change much. All I did was inside of pickup, when pickup gets called, which should get called here, right? Hover dot doesn't get picked up. It doesn't get called at all now that I realize it. We don't call pickup or drop on the object. Ugh. All right. Well, for right now, we're going to get rid of the requirement that we know the parent. We're going to do the controller. But even so, hoverable object and not stored pickup. Hover pickup.get component. We're going to have to grab the other component too, aren't we? Here we grab the component. We don't need to do this. We should just do pickup is equal to hover pickup dot, and see, wait a second. Don't we store the hover pickup here? We already know we have a pickup object. I don't need to be grabbing components here. We're just going to do hover pickup dot pickup. And then we don't need this either because it doesn't return anything. That should get rid of this line here. We're still doing the transforms right here, which might get changed. But then we do hover pickup dot pickup. You know what? No, I don't like that. We're going to do this here. We're going to set the stored pickup because that's what's going to get picked up. And then hover pickup is going to get set to null. And then we're going to do if stored pickup, debug.log, blah, 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 stored pickup.drop, and we set the transforms, right? Okay, this line might be causing us some problems right there as well. All right, so here we're working with the hover pickup. I don't like that. I'm going to do, the first thing we should do is swap over the hover to the stored pickup. And then we should be working solely in the stored pickup parts. So then the stored pickups transforms parent gets changed, the identity zeroed out, and then we reset this rotation. Then we're going to call store.pickup, which will do whatever the hell it's supposed to do. Then we're going to do hover pickup is equal to null, which this line is questionable at this point because technically the object is still hovering. You're still within it. So that's something we'll have to figure out. So if there is a stored pickup on drop, then we drop it here and we set the transform and we set the rest of it. So stored pickup here is going to do this and this. Rigid body dot is kinematic is set to true. Use gravity is set to false. Rigid body dot is kinematic set to false. So it's not kinematic, which means it can move on its own under the physics system. And then rigid body dot use gravity is equal to true. Okay. All right. I'm getting burned out. There we go. Dink. Hey, let go. And it's on the floor. Yay. Pick it up. And we got it. And let it go. Dink. Yay. Okay. So we have the start of something at this point. We've got picking up objects back in here, which is the beginning of interaction. So we should be happy, right? Yes, we should be happy. Oh, God, that model's huge. Look at all that trash that needs to get reduced down into like 20 objects from a couple hundred, or 100 maybe, or 50. 100 might be too much. All right. Do I want to call it quits for this game for today? We got basic input in there. We brought over picking things up. I think I need time to sit on this game and think about the path forward. So what's the next thing I'm going to start working on? Because the game itself is drastically different and all the assets are completely different as well. So yeah, I think we're going to pause development on Buoyancy Slip Funhouse, or whatever the hell I'm calling it at this point. And we're going to jump into the other game. So let's close out of this, close out of this. And let's jump into Poop Shoot. Okay, while this is loading, I'm going to take a brief break. I'll be back in just a few minutes. I'm going to use the restroom before we start back up on the next one. So let's go back here. So yeah, be right back. let's get back to work. Back to work. Wow, my hair is terrible today. Screen cam. Yay. Okay. Let's put on some music. And so this is where we left off yesterday with the project. We had successfully created a build. We had objects coming out. We had made it so that we could move the mouse into separate areas. And when we move them, it takes over control from whatever's going on. And then we could, of course, grab objects, eat them, and then shoot them out. So things that we don't have implemented right now are the carts and the butthole shooting out rewards. So as you beat up enemies over here, you should get rewards that come out of here. So we need a whole system to handle that, which we do not currently have. Let's go ahead and once again open up our system for handling all the controls that we have going on. So we're going to need a different chart for this because I don't think we updated much of anything yet. So let's go to here and find, let's see, poop shoot. And open up poop shoot. Okay, so wow, we have not updated this at all. And that's my fault. So let's come over here and try to think about how the system's going to work. So we've got a butt right here. And the butt is going to launch out a it's called fire projectile right now, but it's going to be given a reward for the most part. And so right here it's got like this isn't what we want. We want a whole separate class for rewards. So let's do that. Right click, create folder, call this reward. So this is a reward for defeating an enemy, and we're just going to create a basic script called reward for now. And that is what is going to get attached to different objects. And God, the reward system, I don't know. So the reward will get popped out and it will go into one of these carts. So we're also going to need a cart. So let's create a C# script called cart. And we might as well I'm trying to think how I want to handle this now. So let's just create some, I don't have like a good graphic of a cart. So why don't we just take this piece of this horrible cart. Actually, I might take the catapult graphic, rotate it 45 degrees and use that for what we're working on. Once Photoshop loads up. Oh, you know what? I'm wondering if that might be the reason my monitor's breaking. I'm noticing condensation on the pipes above me. Might have dripped right down onto the monitor and fritzed it. Fun. So let's find the background art for this. Open. And let's go to desktop. We don't want Boincy Slip. We haven't worked on Generational Starship, but that one's a lot more complicated than Poop Shoot. And I'm making progress with Poop Shoot, so kind of want to stick with it. Let's find, Photoshop. Where's the background? Tentacle, food, arm, monster, cosmic background, screen layout. That's what we want. So let's turn off that one and turn on, we don't want that either. Where is the, do we not have, that's not what we want, and nothing is named. That's even better, right? I think it's that. But I think we have a low opacity on something. Yeah, the opacity was set to 10. That's why. Okay, there's our scene. And let's turn off some of these other background elements. So this is normal. This one's set to overlay. That's fine. And we are going to take, I think, one of these objects. I like them. Visually, they just have more to them. And let's do Control-C. Okay, Control-Shift-C, Control-N, Enter, Control-V. No. Close this. Control-Shift-C, Control-N. Clipboard, paste. Control-V. Image. Yeah, image. Well, let's do it this way. Let's use the, where is it? Ruler. And let's just make a straight line. Image rotation, arbitrary, okay. And set the background to be white for now. And then we can try to grab the objects we don't want. Let's do a quick object selection and see if we can just grab around this thing. It's okay. Like that. Sure. Mask that, hit Control I, invert the mask. We've got a little bit of edge problem here, but that's fine. We're just going to paint directly in the mask. Get rid of it that way. Let's get rid of this. And then we'll after this, we'll crop it down to the right size. Make it work better that way. Here we are. And we just need to do crop, find this rough center point, hold down Control and Shift, and I'm going to scale this up a bit, and we're just going to move it inside. Like maybe there? Sure. Turn that off. Image. Let's give it a little bit of color maybe, because it's looking kind of like trash. Let's just find a brown. I do like having the colors in the game at this point. Makes it a lot nicer. We're going to need to grab. So if we hit, no, I want to hit Alt, and then we're going to keep painting this mask is what we're going to do. What time is it? It's 6 o'clock. I'm probably going to end the stream at 7. I'd like to spend some time doing actual, like, real life things that I need to do, which sucks because I would love to keep busting this out, but I have to, there has to be a work-life balance, and I already have a real job, so this is taking out of my life. We just had to put down a cat of ours on Thursday, or yeah, on Thursday. So it's been kind of, you know, a sad time. So let's go here, move this up maybe, somewhere like that possibly. I'm going to bind it to that layer. That brown's okay, but I'm going to want some more values to work with, I think. And let's just call this color. And let's start painting. Oh, not what I want to do. We're going to click here, just grab that, and then now paint into this layer. I've got a lot of things I need to do to prepare more for these streams. I need to create more assets, or draw some more stuff, get something interesting. Let's go with multiply. I like that. And let's go with image size. This is a very low res image. Let's upgrade this to 1024. Let's go ahead and save this in case something crashes. And we're going to call this cart. Save. I know it doesn't look anything like a cart because we got this little end on there, but actually, if we go back to the mask and we unmask some parts of this, like here, you know what, let's just do this, something like that. Enter. I'm going to go to filter, blur more, just to kind of blur up that edge. Now that we've done that, we can also we can move this object around a bit, right? So try to center it a little bit better. We can also find that center point, do something like this, just so it has fewer pixels, image, or more of the object, less of nothing. So something like that. I'm going to save it, and let's just take a second and colorize some bits of this. So we'll go to the dodge tool. Let's not spend too long on this. Let's just try to make a few of these objects a little bit better. Let's go to exposure, increase that to maybe like 30. And all I'm trying to do is just have a few of these bits a little bit more defined by just highlighting one side versus the other. I'm holding down the shift key to draw a straight line. Not that I have to. It doesn't really follow what I'm doing here, but it's fine. We will put on a little bit there, then maybe some gradients stuff going on over here. So again, all the art is concept at the moment, so we don't have to care too much about what we're doing. Let's go now to the burn tool. I'm just going to burn the other side of this. It's supposed to be like a cylinder. It's the wheel. No one could tell but me because I'm the one who made it. That's fine. Let's just do that. Darken that side as well. Let's get this really nice and big and just make the back end darker. Overall color. And then let's also go to our brush tool and maybe pick a gray like this, and just after we select only that region, just color the gray. Some grays in there. I don't know why it's gray, but it is. So we'll say that this is gray too. Okay, that's something to work with. So file, save a copy. We're going to save this as a PNG file. Let's go to our Unity project, poop shoot, assets, concept, and just call this cart. Save. Okay. Minimize this, come back into the game. Go to our concept, and there should be a cart right there. Right click, create a new material. Call this cart. So there's our cart. We're going to throw the cart under the albedo section of this. We're going to switch this to color cutout. And the alpha cutout is probably okay. Let's go ahead and take the cart. Well, let's make a quad with the cart, right? So that they're going to fill up this space over here. So we'll go to game object, 3D object, create a quad, and just sort of stick that up here, scale it up, and just move it into place right there. Let's say cart, and put the cart on it. So there we are. So now we've got our carts. So the knees will get filled up with whatever item gets the rewards that get put out. So those are some things I need to sit down and make, are the rewards for the game that you get for defeating the monsters. Most of them are going to be poop. So we need Feed the Elder Wyrm. Yes, win-lose condition is important, but add escape key is important. But what we're doing now is kind of making the win-lose condition of the game possible. So let's, excuse me, burp. What am I doing? Need reward graphics for poop, which is fertilizer, which is used just to continue to generate basic food from farms. Then there's going to be something like an emerald, or some sort of a jewel. I don't know. And then there'll be other things too. We need to sit down and think about all that stuff, right? So, oh, by the way, we did complete that today, so that's great. And we did start that as well, so that's good. We don't have movement yet. That'll be next time. Add movement to the game. So we will do that on the next live stream, which will probably not be until the weekend of next week. I've got a very busy week. I'm assisting with the install for upgrades to our virtual reality system. So I'm probably going to be busy doing that for a while. I won't have a whole lot of time to work on any of these games. So cart. So we have a mesh collider, which we're going to remove. We're going to go here and do a box collider. It'll be triggerable. And we also need to see it. So it's infinitesimally thin. We're going to make that like 0.25 instead. We're also way off on the axis. So the z-axis, we're going to flatten that down to like 0. Although we want to put this on the same as the butthole. So the butthole is at 0, so that's at 0 too, so that's fine. Let's go back to side view. Spin around, spin around, spin around. Great. So we have one cart. So what we're going to do instead is create an empty game object and just call this carts for now. Take the one cart, put it under carts. Oh, carts, we're going to zero this transform out. So let's not do that. Let's take this, zero you out, find the cart, put it under carts now, and there's cart, and then let's duplicate the carts. We'll probably want a script that auto lays these out because maybe you have more carts in some levels than other ones, so it should divide up how many carts you have. Or maybe your cart gets taken away as you're playing the game, and that's one of the resource management things that you have to deal with. I don't know yet. We're figuring out the gameplay as we make it. Some people might call me crazy for designing a game this way, but honestly, I can't figure stuff out unless I'm actually doing it. I can sit forever and think about it, and nothing happens. Okay, so our carts are right here. Each of these carts has, they're going to need a cart script, and this should really be a prefab, right? So why don't we take our cart, move it here, delete the other ones, and start duplicating this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, great. And so there's cart. We're going to want our cart script on that. So let's put the cart on the cart script, or put the cart script on the cart. And what's going to happen? The cart is going to have an on trigger enter. So on trigger enter. And when you enter the cart, it is when an object enters, we're going to check to see what that object is. We're going to see whether or not it's probably a reward. So let's do other.compare tag, and we'll be using a tag of reward for this. So if other.compare tag reward, what do we need to do now? So if that happens, the reward should be attached, parented. The reward should be a child of the cart. The cart moves off screen and is full to be processed. So carts might be able to take more than one object, but for right now it's one. So you're going to need to make sure you don't leave that but where it is, because if you beat something and the cart, you'll lose the reward, and no one was there to pick it up, so it'll disappear. So this is where you have to start managing different parts of the game to keep it going, and it's meant to keep you engaged, and there's a lot of stuff going on. It's not casual. Okay, so cart. This is actually probably the opposite of what I was designing for a game originally. This is becoming much less casual. So reward, let's add the reward tag. We don't have rewards yet. Let's just create a new one. Do I have a graphic that I can use for a reward at the moment? I don't think I do. We'll just use a sphere. So 3D object, and we'll use a sphere. Why not? And just call this a reward. Template reward, something like that. Let's go here, add a new tag, reward, save. Okay. I'm getting winded. Mesh render is fine. Sphere collider. It's going to need a rigid body if it's going to get detected, right? We don't want gravity. We will set it to be kinematic. Continuous speculative. No, it doesn't need to be kinematic. It doesn't need to be. It's going to get fired off by this and then get picked up by one of the carts. So let's go into rewards, template reward, put it under here, grab this object, go to scripts, which is reward, and put that under here. So there we are. So the reward is going to come out it's going to get generated by the butt. So rewards are created by the butt. Well, no, rewards are fired by the butt. What creates them is going to be some sort of a system that evaluates what you destroyed, and then will say, based upon what you accomplished, you are then going to get a reward, and then the reward is going to be given to the butt. The butt will fire it out, and the reward might get fired out at different speeds. We'll see. And then the cart is going to intercept it. So the reward gets fired out by the butt. So for right now, instead of projectile, we're going to just say reward. And let's just say, it's fine. Prefab reward. Or reward template, something. Reward. Doesn't matter. So then we'll have a reward. That's fine. This is all fine. It's going to be the fire projectile. So we're going to instantiate the reward. Reward. This is fine. This should be fine. This should be fine. Okay. And then fire reward should get called by something keeping track of rewards being created, which is going to be some sort of a wave or an enemy manager, which we don't currently have. We have an enemy class, but the enemies, nothing's keeping track of them to make this actually work. So for right now, it might be a good idea to just have the fire reward happen some regular interval until we hook that up. So we could do that by calling what in start. We could do what is this stupid method in Unity called that allows you to fire off Unity fire script, Unity execute function every, I don't know, 5 seconds, something like that. There's a call function, right? Invoke repeating, that's what we want. So invoke repeating, string method name, float repeating time. So mono behavior, invoke repeating. Sorry, I don't use this one very often, so invoke repeating, repeat rate. Okay, so we will do invoke repeating. It's going to take a method name. Invokes the method name in time seconds, then repeats every. So let's say just 5 and then repeats every 5 seconds. And this is going to be fire reward. And that will then do that. So coming back over here, let's go to our prefabs, our rewards. We have our reward template. We can delete that from the scene now. We will go to the butt, open that up, and the butt needs a reward to fire, which is going to be right there, the template one for now. Okay, so that's going to fire off the template, and then the reward is going to fly. So the reward has doesn't have an is trigger, but does have a rigid body. That's fine. These ones are going to get triggered when the reward enters, and the cart script will then fire. And we need to program this now. So we need to do if other.compare tag reward. We need to put the tag for the reward. I don't think I did that. So going back under rewards, template reward, open the prefab, and let's go to reward. Go back. Coming back here, save. Shoot. So how do we want to handle the next part? I'm getting lost. Too much programming. So the reward here, let's go back to code. That's what we're doing. We're in here. So the reward now, so we want to do reward is equal to other.get component reward. So we're going to grab the reward off of the object. So it gets to the cart, and then we're going to parent that object. So reward dot transform dot set parent this dot transform. I always like to reset things afterwards. Reward dot transform dot local position. I forget, does set parent do that automatically? It's got one overload, so that makes me think it does. World position stays is false. If true, the parent relative position scale and rotation are modified such that the object keeps the same world space position rotation and object scale as before. You know what? No, we're going to do it this way. Vector 3.0 and then reward.transform. The orientation can stay the same. That's not a problem. The scale, that might be an issue. If we do a direct thing, we'd have to calculate what that scale is. We'll see what happens. Let's just do it. So that's going to set the child. That's going to set it to be the cart. But now the cart needs to move. So what we're going to do in enumerator move cart off screen. Or how about just transport reward? Okay, so transport reward will get called down here. So start coroutine. We'll call transport reward. This is going to need a, this is going to slowly move the reward off the screen until it's fully off the screen, but it also is importantly going to disable this cart from being able to pick up any other objects. I don't recall, let's just do a bool is, or how about reward, reward is equal to null. And then if other dot blah, 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 this is fine. Other dot compare tag. I'm having problems thinking. And there is no reward, then do this. That's important. Actually, yeah, that's important. So then we're going to transport the reward off the screen. So the cart's going to move slowly off the screen, and then it's going to come back at some later time. I don't know how long it's supposed to take, so let's just do a float current time to 0.0f while current time is less than I don't know, time to cart off reward. Just put a float up here for now. Is equal to, let's say it takes 5 seconds to cart it off. Yeah, that might be too much. 4 seconds. Time to cart off reward. This is return null, yield return null, yield return null, and then we're going to move from our current position to our off-screen position. So let's do a vector 3.start position equal start position, and then we will grab our start position here. We'll do transform dot position. We're going to store that away. Then we're going to need a float off screen. No, we'll do a vector 3. Vector 3 off screen position, which I don't know, is going to end up being some quantity of the start position plus some amount in a certain axis. Start position plus vector 3 dot right dot times, I don't know, how many units? 10 maybe? Might be a lot. I don't know how many units that is, but we'll figure it out. It might be too much. So it's going to go from, how about just end position? Keep the variable names right. Okay, so transport reward is going to be a vector3.lerp. Yay. And we're going to lerp between two. We're going to lerp between a start position and the end position. And we're going to need a time factor, which is going to be our current time divided by what? The time to cart offer a reward. All right, and we're also going to want to do current time plus equals time dot delta time. Okay, so this is going to do that. This is then going to be this dot transform dot position is going to be equal to, between those two right there, return yield return null. Great. What next, George? What next? Well, we need to set the transform to be exactly the end position when we hit the end, because it might not exactly get there. So let's just grab the end position. Set that there. And then we're going to start the return cart enumerator so it comes back to us. So enumerator return cart. Okay. And importantly is that the reward should be destroyed off the screen. So there's going to need to be a function public, or not public, can be protected for right now. Process reward, and that's going to be given a, I mean, I don't know, you already have a reference to the reward, so what's the point, right? So we're just going to do at the end of this process reward. This will get called, am I not allowed to call this? The name process reward does not exist in the current context. Public void process reward. And this is where we're just going to destroy the reward. So destroy reward dot game object. This is where we should be, based upon the type of reward, provide reward benefits to the player, which we'll get to at some other time in the future. I'm not doing that right now. 6:30, still doing okay. Next up, though, we need a start coroutine, which is going to be our return cart. So start coroutine, and that's going to be return cart. Okay, and return cart's down here. At least one accessor. Hold on a second. That's why. Okay, so return cart float current time is equal to 0.0f. While current time is less than cart dot to reward, we're going to move this. The most important thing is all we have to do is really flip these two positions. We could write this function once and then just call it with two different inputs. I mean, yeah. But I imagine this is going to be different in some way. The sounds will be different. What actually happens, I think maybe as you cart off, it's going to be slower. And when you return, it's actually going to be faster because you're not hauling a heavy weight anymore. So the weight of the reward might slow things down. Just other things we can add to the game to make it more interesting. Whew. Okay, so current time is this, blah, 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 blah. This happens until we hit the time. This is going to be return yield null. That's fine. This dot transform dot position, vector3.lerp. This should be fine too. This is not end position. This should be start position now. And when we get to the end of this, importantly is it's not just the reward. It's not just possessing the reward that's important here. It's is the cart busy? So we will use a bool is busy equals false. So let's come down to the reward, blah, 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 blah. Then we're going to do transport reward. Cannot convert from method group to string. So we're going to do that. There we are. And we will do that. And inside of here, we will say that is busy equal to true. And then we will say, I always worry about this coroutine firing when I want it to. So I'm going to do this outside, is busy there. When this coroutine ends, we will then say it is no longer busy. On trigger enter only works if the cart and not is busy, and there is no reward. So all three of those conditions need to be met. That's a little bit overkill. Is busy sort of handles the reward part of it, but whatever. We'll go with it for now. Okay. Let's see. So carts all have cart scripts on them. Let's see what happens. Okay, so let's grab some food. Oh, a reward just got fired out because they're coming out every 5 seconds, right? So we had a null exception. So the reward gets parented, but we don't turn off the rigid bodies. Okay, so here's some problems. We got a null reference exception process reward on the carts is not getting fired correctly. So destroy reward.gameObject. So we're not holding the reward when we collide with it. So reward is equal to other.component.getReward. We don't need to do this anymore. We can just do reward is equal to other.component. Right? Yes, we can do that. So we store the reward. Importantly is we destroy the reward. I'm just going to do reward is equal to null. I always like to null things out afterwards. That should fix some of our problems. Another issue, well, I don't know if it's an issue yet. It might have just been because it was buggy. So let's just work on this side. So reward comes out. We still got to turn off all the physics for it. And then it comes back. So there's that cart just came back. That goes out. So let's. Oh boy, this is a lot to manage. But right now, like, you're going to know that a reward is coming because you're fighting these things and they're beating them up. So it's not going to be as chaotic as what's going on right now. Oh boy. Let's try to grab that other one. All right. Okay. Oh boy. I am not doing well. Oh. Okay. Anyway, so the parts work. So we have the carts in there. Moving off screen, we just don't have anything actually happening when you do the reward. This tentacle there should be an autopilot mode for it where it fires out automatically when you are not in that part of the game. I was also thinking about slowing time down so that as you move from quadrant to quadrant, or trigrant, as we're calling them, triangle, or tri for 3. So as you move from each trigrant, you would then hit it, time would be slowed down for the other ones. And that way you could manage things easier. I don't know if I want to do that though. Honestly, I think I want to just automate the tentacle when you're not there to be picking things up by itself. The one part that will not probably be automated is the intercelestial battle. This part might be automated. I'm not sure. Gameplay things to think about, how that's going to affect stuff. Okay, so we don't yet have a win or lose condition. I guess the lose condition would be defeating all the monsters that would spawn in. So we're going to need some sort of a spawning manager, right? So C# script spawn manager. Or just spawner. Spawn enemy spawner. Or enemy waves, maybe? I don't know. So that's going to be responsible for, let's see, creates enemies to fight. And spawns new enemies as you win. So there's probably going to be different conditions for winning based upon the level. Some conditions will be based on just defeating. So there's got to be different victory conditions for each wave. Right now, I think the condition is just going to be destroying them all. We'll have other conditions in the future. Maybe, if we ever finish anything. So, I kind of wonder if there should be a class just called Enemy Wave, which we could make it a serial object, right? Right? Couldn't we do that? Maybe. Let me see here. Let's, I'm trying to think about how I want to handle this. Sorry. Let me, I'm wondering. So we've created a new C# script called Enemy Wave. And we open up Enemy Wave. But this shouldn't be a monomer. Let's try a scriptable object instead. Okay, and let's trying to think how I want this to be structured in a way that's easy to construct waves of enemies coming at you. It's not too random. So enemy waves. I'm sorry, I shouldn't be in enemy waves. I should be in enemy wave, not waves. This is not correct. Save that one, double click enemy wave, open that up, and we're going to use I can never remember what it's called. Is it? Why am I in this one again? Why does it keep opening up? There we go. This is what we want over here. Serialize. No, we don't want a serialized field. We want serialize. Wow, I'm having a giant brain fart. Yeah, I am not braining right now. Serialized field, serialized reference. Where's the class? Scriptable object. My God. Couldn't remember what it was called for a minute there. Yeah, I should probably not stream for much longer. I think the value of me working versus me being absolutely burned out, it doesn't quite make sense. So, a class you derive, you want to create objects that don't need to be attached to game object. This is mostly that's what I meant to store data. Yes. Yes, this is exactly what I want to do. Okay, so What are we going to do? We are going to hold int number of enemies, or should this be a list of type enemy? And enemies. And then I'm wondering if each enemy needs a position that it's recorded at as well. Enemy wave, list of enemy. But I also want each enemy to be bound to a position in space. So a vector 3. How do I want to do this, George? Does it matter for right now, George? Can we just have them lay out like it doesn't really matter that much? I want to, though. I think it's important to do this. Is a vector 3 object serializable, and can I drag and drop? This might require an editor script eventually to better handle how this is going to work, which is not what I'm going to do on a live stream. Okay, so we're going to just go with a list of enemies for the moment. And then this is going to take in a wave, right? A scriptable object. Enemy wave. Serialized field. So let's come back over here and try to come up with this part. So we have enemy wave, and these are the enemies. We're going to add the enemy wave script to this, and let's where do I want to put this? Create folder waves. Create a where is it? Normally it has you be able to create one right at the top. It's actually kind of annoying because they shove it right there. Maybe something is not correct. Enemy wave. Right click, create folder C# testing playables. Text Mesh Pro, scene, prefab, audio, materials. Where is the I thought it shows up as one of the types you can create automatically, or do I have to add that so that it's create folder C# script shader testing playables Text Mesh Pro. All right, hold on, let me look up, what is this called again? Scriptable object, Unity. Let's see, blah 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 blah. Yes. Written to disk, that's fine. Create asset menu. That we don't have, so we're going to need this. Within, let's see. This is so they're using it for a spawner as well. Okay, so that's good to know. I'm kind of doing the right thing, huh? So where did they put this? Did they put this in the, yes, they put it in here. So let's, because you don't learn anything if you paste things, let's do create asset menu. We'll do file name is equal to wave. I don't know why it's called data. Say enemy wave, menu name is going to be equal to enemy wave / enemy wave. I don't know. And order So I guess that's which order it is within the context of the menu itself. We'll pick 1. All right, so coming over here, let's see what happens. This might not be the right way to do this. I don't really know. Right click, create enemy wave. We'll create a new enemy wave. There's our enemy wave. Here it comes up with a list. And we can put enemies in here. So where's our enemies? We have one prefab of an enemy. So if we drag and drop it, it's that one. So let's make more than one type. So there's this one. Whoops. Enemy, fine. It doesn't really matter, honestly. Did we have the other bad guy? So we'll go to concept, right click, create a new folder, enemies, or just enemy. We have arm monster, we have blob, we have butt, we have jellyfish eye, which we don't have in there. So let's move enemy in there, and jellyfish eye doesn't have a material. So let's right click, create a new material, and call this jellyfish eye. Grab both of these, throw them under enemy. Jellyfish eye is going to have an albedo. It's going to be unlit, transparent cutout. Okay. But under prefabs, we also have enemies. So we have enemy 1 and enemy 2. Enemy 1, which we're going to open up, is going to reference a different material, which is going to be our materials, monster arm, and let's see, we didn't call it blob, we called it jellyfish eye. The only problem is it's not centered and everything's kind of a mess. So how is that? Why is that offset like that? Is that really how it looks like in the graphic? So if we go to enemy and jellyfish eye, that's pretty much centered. And there's really no tiling or other offsets going on. So enemy 1, that's its bounding box, right? So let's reset that and move this to fill the whole bad guy like this. You know what? I'm going to say its tentacles don't count as a hit. So more like, whoops, this. And let's see it from the side. That should be good enough. Save that. Come back out of the enemy. And so we have enemy wave. We don't have a wave yet. Let's come back over here, go to waves, enemy wave, and just start putting enemies in there. So I have enemy wave. I'm going to lock this so that I can't move it. And let's go to our prefabs, and we'll do enemy, enemy, enemy 1, and enemy 1. So we'll have 2 on the outside and 2 on the inside. All right. So the waves, we need the wave manager to then populate these objects from that. So under enemy waves, here we need to iterate over the wave object and use it. Okay, so let's do, I want them to pop up like in a fun way. So let's go ahead and already start doing that. It's 6:50. I wanted to stop at 7, but I think I've got another 30 minutes in me to try to finish this wave segment before I have to do real life stuff. So let's do spawn in wave is what we'll call it. We'll do an enumerator, spawn in wave, and this is going to use the wave object to do what we want it to do. So let's do a float time between spawns, this is all stuff that as we figure out is going to have to be in the wave class, the scriptable object class, because we're going to have all this stuff written into it. So time between spawns, let's just say it takes 1.0 f seconds between each one. We're going to do float current time is equal to 0.0 f. Let's do float end time is going to be equal to time between spawns times the wave dot enemies. Let's make this public for now. So we'll do waves dot enemies dot length or count. Now we will do a while current time is less than or equal to, is less than end time. We're going to do current time plus equals time dot delta time. We are then going to see, that's not how I want to do this at all, is it? I don't want the end time. I just want the time between spawns. And then we're going to do while int I is equal to 0, or enemy index is equal to 0, while enemy index is less than the wave.enemies.count. So we're going to continue to do this until we've run out of enemies, right? To process. So here we will do this. When that is finished, we will do enemy index plus plus. While current time is less than time between spawns, current time plus equals time dot delta time. Yield return null. So we're going to wait until that's done. What happens is when that time has passed, we need to, current time is going to be equal to 0.0. We're going to reset the current time. We could write this in 2 functions. We're going to do it in 1 for now. It's fine. We are going to then instantiate an enemy. What do we want to do? Enemy is equal to instantiate enemy. And the object we're going to instantiate is from the list. It's going to be wave.enemies I, right? Or enemy index. Okay, so we're going to instantiate the enemy here. We're going to reset the amount of time it takes. We're going to increase our index as well. Then we're going to come back up to the top. We're going to see whether or not we've done that. If we haven't done that, then we are going to go back here. We're going to let time pass until the time between our enemies happens, and then we're going to fire everything out. Once we're done with all of that, we're good. The only thing we might want to do is have a list of enemies. I just want to store these away. We could also store them as child objects of the enemy wave manager. It doesn't really matter yet. It will matter later once we figure this all out. Enemies.add, and then we'll do enemy. Just so that we have a, somewhere has a record of what's going on. It's not really necessary yet, but it might in the future. Oh, all right, let's come back here, clear this on out, hit run, and okay. We don't start spawn in wave, so we're going to want to do start coroutine, spawn in wave. We're doing this delay thing too because you know that when the game actually starts, there's going to be stuff that happens, and you're not going to want the enemies to just start popping up instantly. So this is going to give us some time to make that happen. We have a null reference error in the spawn wave thing, so what are you giving me crap for? Come here. Console, come here. There you go. Object reference not set to an instance of an object. Okay. So you are saying that spawn in wave? Move next. Enemy waves.22. That's right here. Wave.enemies.count, you're saying, is empty. And that's because it is. Because, hold on a second. So there's wave. Do I need to do something special to process these sorts of objects? So here's their example from the website that I'm using as reference. They have a scriptable object. They call spawn enemies in their case, and they do a for int I is equal to the number of spawn manager values. Spawn manager values here dot number of prefabs to create I++. Game object dot current entity is to instantiate entities to spawn. Entity to spawn is a separate thing. And then they're using spawn points to do that, which are stored in the object. Okay, so what am I doing wrong? Let's check the scriptable object first. So we'll go to waves, enemy wave. These are the enemies we put in the wave for that object. We go to the enemy wave where we have, oh, I've locked this. Let's unlock this. I'm sorry. That's why we don't have the wave there. So enemy wave, put that there, hit save, now hit run. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Oh, we got a null reference exception again. Spawn and wave at line 35. So enemies.add because enemies is not created. So let's do enemies is equal to new list of type enemy. Okay, turn this off. Make sure it's saved. Turn it back on. Hit run, and one enemy, dos enemies, trace. But we don't have them, we don't know where to put them yet. That's part of the problem. So we're probably going to want to record that data, don't you think? So what I'm wondering is, should I use, can you drag and drop an object? I'm trying to think how I want to handle this because I don't use serialize, not serialize, what is this called? Scriptable objects as much as some other folks. I'm thinking about changing this so that it also includes a position for each one of these enemies to go to. So honestly, I almost want like a custom inspector on this so that we could have them side by side list each one. But to get around that, what we might be able to do for the moment is instead do a struct, maybe public struct enemy wave setup, or wave description, and that's going to be a field, no, serialized system.serializable, and this is going to hold two things. It's going to hold the enemy, and it's then going to hold a vector3 position, spawn point for that object. And serialized field here for the list of enemies is not going to be a list of enemies, but instead of a list of enemy wave descriptions. Wave description. Okay, so coming back over here really fast, let's see what happens. So clear this out. Blah, 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 blah. You are yelling at me because you don't work anymore. So we're going to zero that out. clear this. So cannot convert. Dot enemy. Oh crap. So with a struct, everything's technically public, right? So if I do wave.enemies, that gives me the list of wave descriptors, right? So then if I hit a dot after that, I should be able to access the elements of that, which is an enemy, right? And a spawn point. I thought structs were always public by default. Dot. Okay, fine. Enemy. And we also need the location to spawn it at as well, right? So tab and then transform. Transform. Vector 3 position is what we want. So let's do the wave.enemies. Do enemy index dot spawn point. Now you're giving me crap because I'm not using a transform. I want to do quaternion dot identity. All right, so there's that one being used. Okay, so let's see if this breaks anything, which it probably will. So we're going to go back under waves, our enemy wave. We're going to add some waves or some elements of the wave in here. The names suck, I know. We'll work on that stuff with time. We're going to lock this down so I can't leave it. And let's go to our prefabs, to our enemies. We're going to put an enemy, an enemy, enemy 1, an enemy 1. What I'm wondering is, it does not look like I can actually... I was hoping that you could drag and drop a position, an object to it, and then a vector 3 would automatically know what to do, but it doesn't look like you can do that. So, actually, does old have anything else in it? It does. So we're going to have to position things and kind of figure it out where we want it right now. So let's go to game object, create empty, and just kind of put it where we want it to be. So I'm going to assume like an enemy is right there. And let's unclick that, come here, and so let's zero that out and copy this component, go back to the enemy wave, and can we paste? That didn't work. Fine, can we try that again? Game object, right click, copy, enemy wave, grab the wave, and can we paste that value in? Yes, we can. Okay, so let's paste in that value for each. The X is going to be good. It's going to be these other ones that we're going to modify. We're going to negate that one. We're going to set this one to like, I don't know, 2, -2, something like that. So now we have an enemy wave with values. Let's clear this out and see what happens. Let's hit run. Okay, 1, bloop, bloop, and bloop. Great. So we can spawn enemies now. That's good. Oh, let's get the game going over here. Grab cabbage. We got to fix those problems with the cabbage stuff. And they're coming over here now. They're colliding with things. So that's a problem. Oh, geez. Okay, we're going to try to reach for a potato. Missed one. Okay, let's... Oh, something's wrong with the... you see this? Hold on. Something's wrong with... I think it's because we changed the size of the screen, and we're not doing anything to capture if we change the size of the screen. So let's do, for right now, maximize on play. Okay, so here we are. So enemies are spawning. We're going to grab, we're going to shoot, we're going to grab, we're going to shoot, and shoot, grab, oh boy, and fire, and grab, and fire. And they're colliding in outer space with things, which they shouldn't. Okay, so we're going to fire, and the butthole keeps, let's move the butthole someplace. Going to fire. Okay, the butthole moved down there. Fire. We've got all of these cabbages that are now stuck in outer space. Fire. 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 Okay. So, we've got most of the elements in place at this point for how some of the mechanics work. Now we're going to need to make it fun. and make it interesting and fix some of these mistakes, like the cabbages and the potatoes spawning. We need a pool, a spawn pool over here that you eat from, and this tentacle is going to have some AI that allows it to operate on its own to grab objects. So that's got to happen too. And then the enemies, when they die, need to then create the spawning of the rewards that go to the other side. So we're going to need all of that in here as well. Whew. Okay, but stuff's happening. The pieces of the puzzle are coming together. All right, so it is 7:06. I think that should be the end of it for today so that I can eat dinner and maybe relax for the night before tomorrow. Where does that leave us? So we're making good forward progress on 2 out of the 3 games. Haven't done any work on the generational Starship one. Doing a lot more work on this Feed the Elder Wyrm poop shoot game instead, just because it's coming together. We can see something, right? And the Buoyancy Slip Funhouse one, we got the Oculus, we got the basic input stuff in there. That's working as well. So that's progress on that area. Things that I need to do before I live stream again. I need to create some more art assets in here to round out some things. I also need to come up with the first stage and what we're doing in the Oculus Quest game. And I'll probably be doing a 3D modeling session next time I jump into that, roughing out the location and the controls of movement and getting that all to work. So that'll be up for next time. So anyway, I will see you all some other time. Thoughts, criticisms, concerns, complaints, or good things, feel free to comment below, as always. I will see you all some other time. Actually, hold on. Wait. There's one thing we have to do, and that's what I'm trying to do every time we do this stream, is we have to do a build. So we need to show continual progress is being made. So let's do another build. So we have 12.8. So we're going to do, what to say, 13? 13. So let's do 13.8.2022. I did not add the exit key yet to the build, but we're out of time for today, so I'm not going to do that. So let's see this thing. Okay, you're building. All right. Let's close out of the game. Close out of the editor. And launch Feed the Wyrm, build 13.8.2022. And here we go. We can move that. I just like to see that things work outside of the editor. Far too many times I find people don't build until the end, and then they wonder why nothing works, because they are using editor scripts when they can't, so forth and so on. I need to change. God, there's going to be a lot of work. Also, I mean, there's a lot. The butt, when it shoots the reward rigid body isn't getting turned off. This butthole needs to be on top of these layers. This layer probably needs to be all the way from top to bottom. This orifice doesn't move because we have the tentacle doing the work for us at this moment. But we'll see. But it works. It's just a mess. An absolute mess. And fire. Okay, that's it for today. So let's go ahead and close out of the game. And I will see you all next time. So